Welcome to the Veterinary Financial Podcast, where we discuss financial freedom and professional success. I'm Meredith Jones, a veterinarian and financial planner for vets. Today, I want to give you 5 money moves you can make this week. These are especially relevant for veterinarians because our financial lives can get complicated fast between student loans, changing jobs, production pay, retirement accounts from previous employers, side hustles, and busy schedules. It's easy for financial tasks to pile up. And these aren't things that require hours of research, a complicated spreadsheet, or a complete overhaul of your finances. They're relatively small things you can do that can help you get a better handle on where you are financially and hopefully make some progress. And you don't even have to do all 5. Pick 1 or 2 that apply to you and start there. Okay, number 1, check your retirement contribution. So this first one is relatively simple. You log into your retirement account and see how much you're contributing. If you have a 401k, a simple IRA, a 403b, or another workplace retirement plan, do you actually know what percentage of your paycheck is going into it? Veterinarians, some of them change jobs pretty frequently, or even if you don't, you probably have changed jobs over the years. Benefits can look very different from one hospital to another. Maybe you, when you started at your job, started at a lower percentage thinking, oh, I'll just choose something now until I get settled in at work. And then you never went back in to update anything. So ask yourself whether you could increase your contribution. I talk with veterinarians frequently who aren't contributing enough to even receive the full employer match. And I talk to a lot of vets who contribute up to the match and stop there. If you pick up any personal finance book, it'll say to contribute at least 10 to 15% of your income. Some of them will say perhaps higher than that if you attended graduate school or professional school, since we probably all started contributing to retirement later on. Most of us weren't done with school at age 22. And so revisiting that, and even if you are contributing more than the match, then perhaps you need to contribute even more than what you have been contributing, right? It doesn't mean you need to make a huge jump overnight. Maybe you increase by 2% now and continue reevaluating it periodically. Or meet with a financial planner so they can get to know your situation and your goals and help you with your financial plan and actually tell you an exact amount that you should be contributing. Since retirement accounts, because the contributions are automated, once you make the change, you don't have to keep making that decision every month. It's going to be automatic for you. This is also a good time to make sure your contributions are actually being invested. Occasionally, I'll come across someone who opened, for example, like a Roth IRA and started contributing to it, but never actually selected investments. So the money is just sitting in cash. That happens certainly more often with those plans that you set up yourself versus with employer retirement plans, because often those will require you to choose investments when you first set them up, or they might have a default investment option associated with them. But while you're logged into your retirement accounts, check 2 things: how much you're contributing and where the money is going. The other thing, because I mentioned percentages, the other thing to consider is whether you can actually choose a dollar amount instead of a percentage to go into your employer retirement account. And so the reason I bring that up is because a lot of veterinarians have production pay. If you have a percentage that is chosen, then a bigger chunk of your production check is going to go toward retirement versus if you contribute the same dollar amount every single paycheck, then it's something where it could be more spread out over the course of the year. That also, in a lot of cases, will help you to get the entire employer match instead of perhaps maxing out early before the end of the year and then missing out on some of the employer match for your retirement plan. Number 2 is check your emergency fund. You'll want to start with just figuring out how much money you actually have in cash, adding up all the money in your just regular bank accounts. How many months of expenses would your current cash in the bank cover? And there's no magic number that's right for everyone. 3 to 6 months of expenses is a common starting point for an emergency fund. If you're a relief veterinarian with variable income, some people are going to want to have more cash than perhaps somebody with like 2 stable W-2 incomes in their household. So there's some variability there. If you're opening your own practice soon, you may want to have a bigger cushion than that 3 to 6 months of expenses. If you're planning to leave a corporate job and cut back your hours, or if you're about to take parental leave or move into a new role, that may change how much cash feels appropriate for you. And sometimes I see the opposite problem. Someone has built a very healthy emergency fund, but they've continued adding to cash because they weren't sure what to do next, which is a great problem to have as far as like having extra cash in the bank, right? But investing more of that money may make sense. Take a look and actually calculate how much you have, how many months of expenses do you have in the bank. Maybe you discover you don't have enough cash. Maybe you discover you have more cash than you need. Either way, knowing the number is the first step. Number 3, look at where your money went last month. I'm deliberately not saying make a budget. So I like to call it a cash flow plan because using the term cash flow plan, there's more of an abundance mindset associated with it, right? Versus if somebody says, oh, make a budget, then it's like, oh, that's generally associated with more of a scarcity mindset. People are thinking, gosh, she's going to tell me not to buy lattes. That's no fun. What I'm saying is just look at where your money went last month. So pull up your bank account, your credit card statements, or your budgeting app. So if you use an app like Monarch, then that would be a great thing, and see where your money actually went last month. Veterinary incomes, they can be weird. You might have production bonuses. You could have a side hustle. You're picking up extra shifts at your regular job or relief shifts or vaccine clinics. You might have a CE reimbursement or licensing expenses, things like that get mixed in with regular household spending. So don't worry about making everything perfect. Just take a look and see, okay, were there any surprises? Are there subscriptions you're not using, something you thought you canceled and you're still seeing it there? Did you spend more on eating out than you realized because you were working late shifts and, I ordered DoorDash more than I thought I did? Did a big CE trip or a vacation make the month look unusual? Or maybe you take a look at everything and think, okay, actually, I'm pretty happy with how I'm spending my money. That's useful information too, right? So the goal isn't to feel guilty about anything you've spent. It's to make sure you're using your money in a way that lines up with what you actually care about. And if you find one thing you want to change or shift around, great. You don't need to identify multiple things. Just take a look. Okay, number 4, check your beneficiaries. Number 4 is one of those financial tasks that's incredibly important, and it's also incredibly easy to forget about it. Check the beneficiaries on all of your accounts. Start with your retirement accounts, take a look at your life insurance policies, and also take a look at your bank accounts as well, because those are important. If you have an investment account like a brokerage account, take a look at that. All of those generally have a place in your settings or in your profile where you can add beneficiaries. And if you've worked at several veterinary hospitals over the years and you have old 401ks or like a simple IRA that's sitting in a different place, each one of those accounts can have its own beneficiary designation. And so you're going to want to make sure that that is chosen and that it's also up to date. Take a look. Who is listed? Is it still the person you want? If you got married or divorced or had a child, or, you may have opened these accounts years ago and you haven't taken a look at it, it's definitely something worth checking on. And if you have a will, don't assume that because it says one thing, that's automatically what happens with every single account. Because the beneficiary designations, they can determine who receives certain assets of yours, if, heaven forbid, something were to happen. So this is probably actually one of the quickest things on today's list. You may log in and discover everything is exactly how you want it and be done in 5 minutes. Great, now you know. All right, number 5, do the money task you've been putting off. Did I say something scary? I want you to think about the one financial task you've been avoiding, because we all have at least one of those. And veterinarians, of course, were really good at dealing with urgent things. I practiced as an emergency veterinarian for a long time, right? So if there's a crashing patient in front of me, I'm going to handle it. Financial paperwork usually doesn't feel as urgent as that. So that means it can sit there for months. Maybe you have an old retirement account from a previous hospital that you've been meaning to transfer and combine with your current employer account. Maybe you need to open a high yield savings account finally. Maybe you need to review your disability insurance and take a look and see, okay, is that in line with my current amount that I'm actually making, or is it something that hasn't been adjusted since before COVID when I had a much lower salary? Maybe you need to finally deal with paperwork from a job you left a couple months ago or even 2 years ago. And that goes back to rolling over an old employer retirement account, right? Maybe you need to submit CE reimbursement. I know I've delayed that one before because, as vets, we're often super busy, either right before we go to CE or right after, or both, because we're probably covering for somebody else. So I'm absolutely guilty of this too. I've procrastinated on transferring retirement accounts from previous employers into my current retirement account. I knew I needed to do it, and there wasn't some complicated financial question I was trying to answer. I just kept not doing it. I've also done this with a backdoor Roth. I made the contribution to the traditional IRA, and then I didn't actually complete the Roth conversion until later on. The conversion itself wasn't difficult, right? I knew what I needed to do, but there was this gap between making the original contribution and actually finishing the process. And that's how a lot of financial tasks are. They're not necessarily difficult. They're just annoying enough, or there's some other maybe mental barrier that keeps us from moving forward and has us putting it to next week's to-do list. So pick one thing, not 5 things, and just start. Just start with one of the financial tasks you've been avoiding and see if you can get it done this week. Those are your 5 money moves for this week. Check your retirement contribution. Check your emergency fund. Look at where your money went last month. Check your beneficiaries. And finally, do one money task you've been putting off. So you don't need to do all 5 of those this week, but doing one is going to make you feel better and make you feel like, okay, you've made some progress. Veterinary careers, of course, can be unpredictable and busy, and financial progress doesn't always come from making huge decisions. A lot of it is doing small things consistently and actually following through on the things you already know you need to do. Thanks so much for listening. Our mission is to help you take control of your finances and build a life you love. If you'd like to see how financial planning can support your goals, visit allvetfinancial.com and click the Book Now button to schedule a free intro call. And until next time, take care and continue your path to financial success. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered individualized financial advice. If a specific investment is mentioned, it should not be considered a recommendation or endorsement to buy or sell the investment. All investments involve risk. Past performance does not guarantee future results. You are encouraged to seek the advice of a financial professional before implementing any investment strategies discussed. Yay, compliance!